Welcome back to another Falcons Fanatic podcast. A little late, I understand. It's a little late, but it's a Christmas extravaganza for everybody, and I'm just working to get this one out when I can. And the Atlanta Falcons win a huge game against the New York Giants. Huge because of a result that happened later on in the day Sunday, where the Dallas Cowboys took down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, moving the Falcons back to their top spot and rightful top spot in the NFC South. And the Falcons did it with a quarterback that's not named Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix Jr. Really effective in this one, and it really helps you imagine with this Falcons team. It gives you some hope. And obviously, after the lows of the Vikings game, we come back, we win against the Raiders with Kirk Cousins barely. We sneak out against the Raiders, and then against the Giants, the Falcons make the QB change and really whoop them. And obviously, offensively, you have to understand that it was supplemented from our defense with 2 pick sixes, one from Jesse Bates, the other one from our good old friend who doesn't seem to get too much effort, but Matt Judon did luck into a pick six, a 27-yard return for him, and Drew Lock just did not have a great day in Atlanta. But Michael Penix really did, as the Falcons soar against the New York Giants. Michael Penix with 1 interception. The QBR is not going to tell you about it. The rating's not going to tell you his performance, but if you watch this football game, you can see the poise that Michael Penix had in the pocket. This the ability to take 2 steps to the right and dodge out of a pressure, and the strength he showed on one of these plays just to stand fully up, and he gets hit from a blitzing cornerback and is able to keep his stature up, spin around, sort of Mahomey, and whip a ball towards Drake London's feet to not take the sack. And that's something that Kirk Cousins would only dream about doing about 5 years ago, and even that's a dream, right? Michael Penix Jr. didn't only just show that he was better than Kirk Cousins with his athleticism and his strength, but also his decision making. He threw the 1 pick, but outside of that one, which the pick wasn't a pick, it was bounced off Kyle Pitts' hands, who's officially a bust in my opinion. I don't think there's anything saving him. He's just not bringing the amount of effort that you need. And hopefully Michael Penix, I saw something on Twitter, Michael Penix will, rookie mistake thinking Kyle Pitts has hands. He'll figure it out though. Michael Penix played within his own game. He started out a little with a couple of incompletions, a lot of drops at the beginning, and then they're still trying to figure out this lefty quarterback, this different spin on the ball is, I'm sure, the excuse that they'll say in practice. But Michael Penix Jr. does a really great job of finding the open man, and really the thing that impressed me the most was his ability to move linebackers and secondary safeties with his eyes. He really uses his eyes as a weapon. He's able to diagnose blitzes and how to evade them really well, which I think was one of the important things coming out of Washington for him. Was, everybody's going to say he's a great athlete actually, but if you really look at it, what sets Michael Penix apart from other quarterbacks and why he'll be fine without having, freakish athletic speed is that Michael Penix Jr. understands blitzes, and he's able to move in the pocket really smoothly and refine and reshape that pocket. And he did a great job against the Giants. Obviously, it was a pretty good day for our offensive line as well. All the PFF grades in the high 80s and 90s for our offensive line. But just besides that, the New York Giants got a couple pressures on him, no sacks, just 1-2 QB hits by Kayvon Thibodeau and Murasau, who was the QB hit, where he was able to throw it to London away. And this Falcons offense came to play. This Falcons defense came to play. Rushing, obviously, Bijan Robinson in these games where you're leading for basically the entire second half. Last 3 quarters, basically, you're going to hand the ball off a lot, and Bijan Robinson continues to be efficient no matter where we hand the ball off to him. He's going to get you 4.3 a carry no matter what you do. Like, he's just going to escape these broken down plays with the offensive line, letting guys leak through the middle, leak through the every single gap, but he's able to juke and hustle his way to another 4-yard gain every single time. Tyler Algier still a good offset as this team rushed the football 38 times here. And it was also good to see him target Drake London, Darnell Mooney getting back into the 80-plus yards, I guess. A good game for Darnell, especially in the first half where he had a couple of good receptions. Almost got one, picked it off the turf, didn't quite get it. But it was good to just have a nice, chill win for once. And I think that's the important thing is this is a team that looked like they deserved to go to the playoffs. And, looking back at the past couple of weeks, I don't know if I could have said that. Right after the Saints game, nope. Broncos game, nope. Chargers, nope. None of these games, even the Cowboys game. I guess the Cowboys game was the last one you say, okay, I guess they're a playoff team, but just it's being really rough and a lot of just disappointment for Falcons fans. And to see a quarterback just be a little bit poised, make the right decisions, not force the game, and just, we're a better team. Let's show that we're a better team and have that come together against the Giants. And that's the important thing as well. We're playing against the New York Giants. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. As poised as Michael Penix looked, he is playing against a Giants defense that struggles to rush the passer and struggles to cover. And you're defensively, you can sing the praises of Caden Ellis. You can sing the praises of Arnold Ebiketie, of Jesse Bates as well. But you have to remember, this is the New York Giants with Drew Lock, and probably the worst passing offense in the NFL. They were just putrid today, especially in the second half. There was, at one point, halfway through the fourth, there was like only 13 yards offensively in this entire second half. And this is not a good Falcons defense. Although we do get 3 more sacks, which is, it's funny, we've had like 12 sacks in the last 4 weeks, and we're still the worst team for sacks in the league, which just shows you how far behind we were. And we're seeing Judon get some pressures here. Arnold Ebiketie, Caden Ellis, as always, is going to get some pressures. And we were also able to really send out our bench because we were up so much. And another thing, like obviously Drew Lock's not getting as much help as he needs. I think their receiving core is solid enough. I think Malik Neighbors made some really incredible plays in this one. Outside of him offensively, Drew Lock, not a good quarterback. I mean, he just makes a couple of boneheaded decisions a game and not super accurate as well. You look at Tyrone Tracy, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, all these guys are, I don't think, us getting close to starting on the Falcons team. And their offensive line has also really struggled when you're giving up a lot of pressures from this Atlanta Falcons front. And, it's progress, and that's the thing. Obviously, you're just happy to see this team win and to continue their search for the playoffs. And it was a long day for me Sunday. It was a long day of watching a lot of football at my grandpa's house. It started out with the Falcons as always, but I had the Falcons on my phone because for some reason he doesn't get the game at his house, so we had to watch the Eagles-Commanders game, which was equally interesting for me because if the Commanders lost that game, which they did not, I'll let you in on that secret right now. If they did lose that game, however, the Falcons would be able to steal their 7th seed with a win today, obviously, next week against the Commanders. And that game being bumped to 8:20 p.m. on NBC is really, really important still for this Atlanta Falcons team, is because we still have to win out, basically, to make the playoffs. The Tampa Bay's schedule has the Panthers and then the Saints, which realistically they could lose to both either the Panthers or the Saints. But I think realistically, both home games, the Buccaneers still looked really good last night. And I think they're just going to take care of business. The Falcons have gotten an opportunity to take care of their own business against the Commanders and then against the Panthers as well. And to have sneaked into the playoffs, snuck even, if you want to be grammatically correct, into the playoffs after what was a roller coaster of a season with a quarterback who knows what he's doing. We have to see it, though, next week against the Commanders. That's the important part here. That's the swing skill, if anything. Defensively, I really liked what I saw. A lot more aggressive. I think when this defense struggles is when we sort of play and it's something you saw Dan Quinn switch from, because with the Falcons, Dan Quinn was such a zone heavy guy, but you saw the Falcons and him, you saw that same sort of defensive scheme earlier on in this year, from Jesus Christ. Anyway, our defensive coordinator and the Falcons are able to have figured out, especially against these teams that have no excuse to be playing against the Falcons. Just put couple more blitzes, right? We need to supplement this. We need to throw these quarterbacks off of their rhythm. We have to be able to surprise them. We can't just give them blanket coverage and expect AJ Terrell and to hold it back, because it's just asking too much of the guy. I know he had a really good game, but he's just not that effective coverage-wise as people assume him to be. And we've seen a lot of varying pressures, a lot of varying coverages compared to before, which threw the Giants off and has brought a little bit of a string of good defensive games here for the Falcons with the Raiders and the Giants game, and then you look back against the Chargers as well, which was a pretty good performance for them. So this Falcons defense can hold you into a game. I don't think they will against the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, who seems to be fully healthy now and ripping apart teams and defenses that are much stronger, like the Eagles. And if we just got that game to go for us, the Falcons would be sitting pretty against this Commanders. Obviously, either way, must-win game. Either way, must-win game. It's going to be Sunday night. I'm going to be, once again, late to the reaction on that one as well. But just happy to bring you guys this content, Happy to do what I can. It's been a long, long day for me. So, currently 12:47 at the time of recording, the day after the game. So, quite a while to sit and think about how I feel, and I'm trying to temper my expectations, because always the Falcons seem to give you hope and crush it. And I can see, the trajectory here. Our hope was crushed against the Steelers and Chiefs, and then win against the Saints, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, loss against the Seahawks, whatever, Buccaneers, Cowboys. The pendulum swung. And it swung right back down. Loss against the Saints, Broncos, Chargers, Vikings, and it's swinging back up, Raiders, Giants. We have to finish out with 2 more wins to get into the playoffs at 10-7. Another great thing from this game is that the Falcons are officially not going to be 7-10 again, which is very happy to see. Gotta happen eventually, right? Can't be 7-10 forever. Gotta pick ourselves off the mat eventually. Anyway, let's go over some team stats here. The turnovers were a killer for the Giants. The 2 pick sixes really swung this game and made it even less close than it was. But the rushing attack from the Cowboys was also putrid. The penalties, 10 for 85. Falcons only 3 for 30. That's another thing that was really impressive about Penix, is that he was able to get the play in, and there was no problems with the offensive line snapping the ball. It was really, really seemed like a smooth operation, which is something that we haven't really seen from a Falcons offense since Matt Ryan type days. Obviously 2 interceptions thrown by the Giants, fumbles lost, and the Falcons just the 1 pick, which was nobody's fault except for Kyle Pitts, right? And so you take that and you're like, you bounce back from it, and they kept their own control in this game, which was really impressive here. Rushing 127 yards, passing over 200 for Penix in his first career start, and hoping to see a lot more from him. I'm trying to temper my expectations. Just any way we can get a win against the Commanders, and I'm happy. That will be a very, very happy, lucky coming in to the final week of the season. So that's going to be it for this podcast. I'm sorry if it's not me at my top abilities. It's a little bit late, and it's a little bit late in many ways. So thank you guys for listening. Very, very happy about the win, though. We'll see what happens to Kirk Cousins. He's a stand-up dude either way. But I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next week after hopefully a win against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football.